after a year in Final Fantasy XIV, these are the 5 things I miss from WoW. I played WoW for about 15 years on and off, from being a kid right up to being a boomer with a job. And I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for just the last 14, 15 months. So there's definitely a lot of things I miss. I do love Final Fantasy, but there's some things I really miss about WoW. Mostly the end game, like Mythic Plus, the big open world zones they add with the patches. They're really, really fun to just roam around with all your friends in. And I really miss the transmog and collection system, like the toy box and the transmog system, and just a way to hold all your achievements and things over all your characters. Really, really like that. So those things I really miss from WoW, and I'm interested what this video has to say. So let's get straight into it and see what this is all about.
I've now been playing Final Fantasy XIV for a bit over a year. During the course of this year, I have streamed most of my journey through the main story, starting from a late Realm Reborn, and currently I am in Endwalker.
Nice.
This has made my progress noticeably slower than it would be for the average player, but also has given me the time to better ponder moments in the story and the events that happened. Without a doubt, I can say the story is marvelous. It has kept me enthralled so far, and now as I've reached the level 84 of Endwalker, I wait for each Sunday with a mixture of excitement and fear for what is about to happen next. But as I played on, there are some things I do miss from my WoW days. As some of you know, I played World of Warcraft since the start of Cataclysm, giving me a bit over a decade in that universe.
You know what you're seeing a lot? This is really interesting, because there was like this big exodus about a year ago, about 13, 14 months ago, of these big WoW veterans who've played WoW their entire life, their entire adult life pretty much. And then they come over to Final Fantasy and they love it. And I was the same. You just fall in love with it. And you play it for like 6 months in the story, and it does kind of take over. And you fall madly in love with the story and the characters and the zones, and everything's new. And you're seeing now a lot of these WoW veterans are coming over, and they hit an endgame. And endgame is very different. Endgame is much more casual. The hard content is really hard, but there's not much of it. There's so much. Every patch is loads of story and loads of non-endgame progression content. Whereas WoW, there's so much more of it. And a lot of people are now going back. Some people stay. I still play Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy. But a lot of people that came over and converted are struggling now that they've got to endgame. Definitely.
It was my MMO of choice, and a game I would play pretty much constantly with only few breaks. And as much as I love Final Fantasy XIV, there are a few things I would really like for them to just borrow from WoW, to make my experience even better. So I made a list of the 5 things I miss most, and I'm going to tell you about them in a reverse order.
Oh, lore. Final Fantasy lore YouTuber.
Number 5. I like achievement. It's a problem of mine. I have spent unreasonable amount of my life fishing random fish, hunting rare mobs, mounts, or generally made the regular visit to murder the same boss again and again and again and again in a vague hope that maybe one day he will give me a mount.
Next year, bro. Next year.
And I don't get it, and I have to wait till next year when the stupid headless bastard shows up again.
Every Halloween.
Keep the progress on murdering him on multiple characters. In the vague hope that the ugly horse he is holding will become mine.
Yeah, you'll get it next year.
Because I need it. As I said, I have a bit of a problem.
So this basically in WoW. There's a mount every Halloween. You fight the headless horseman, and there's a chance he'll drop his mount. If you don't get it, you have to wait till next Halloween. So people will spend years trying to get it. So yeah, I can relate.
In Final Fantasy XIV, I was quick to find the achievements window, and soon there was something I missed a lot from WoW, because they don't show me how much of each category I finished. Or how many of the total achievements I finished. Just have the basic of you have finished this amount of achievements out of that amount of achievements would be so nice. Because it was always satisfying to see the number go up as I finished something, not to mention the exciting part when new achievements were put into the game.
I personally think that the achievements in Final Fantasy are good. I quite like them. I think they're fine.
I just want a nice achievement window that shows me my progress.
I get that.
It would be lovely. It's the minor thing
I
miss, but it's still something I would love to see. Number 4. The transmog mount. Most of us like our glamour. If anything, I'm pretty sure FF14 has the best dress community. This comes from the beautiful variety of items we can obtain. But the fact that I have to go to one of the main cities and into an inn so I can change my glamour plates is really annoying.
Yep.
In WoW, I had a mount. Well, 2 mounts, technically. In short, there were mounts you could use to change your appearance wherever you were, as long as you could mount up, or simply if you came across somebody else who was riding that mount. It was perfect for those moments where I got a new item that looked so cool, and I just wanted to make something with it. I could make an outfit for my character wherever and whenever I wanted.
I think it's a mixed bag, really, because in WoW you have a mount and you can jump on it and change your glam like at any time you're outside, whereas in Final Fantasy you have the glamour plates as well, which are pretty convenient, but yeah, you can only do them in cities, which is a little restrictive.
I didn't need to leave the area I was in. It was so nice.
Yeah.
It was also great for those times when I was out questing and I get an item.
But you have to pay in WoW.
It's just hideous, but it's also a great upgrade. And I just need to get rid of the appearance as quickly as possible. But in FF, I have to go to a city, or at least a sanctuary, if I want to change my glamour plate. Or I have to use whatever I have in my bag at the moment to just individually glamour the pieces. Instead, WoW, you just had them out with full access to every single appearance you have ever collected. Yeah, that's actually going to be a point very soon.
I think, the mount, the glamour mount doesn't bother me, but the glamour system in WoW is 1 billion times better. You can you pick up a sword and then you pick it up, it gets registered to your character, and then you just discard it. 5 years later, if you want to get the look of that sword copied onto your sword, click of a button. You go, swords, 700 swords, I want this one. And you just glamour it onto that. No glamour plates, no glamour system, no box. So easy.
Number 3, diving into water without transition. I like water. Well, some water. I'm afraid of super deep, dark water, but I love bright water where I can see the bottom. And I love diving underwater with my character.
Stormblood,
there are very few ponds, lakes, or rivers in World of Warcraft that I have not swam in.
Is that the fishing mount, I think?
Fun. And this makes the swimming in Final Fantasy really disappointing to me. While I do love the underwater areas, I hate that we have to transition to them. They don't feel connected to the area above water. I just miss being able to jump into any water
because I don't like going underwater.
Enough for me to dive into and just swim straight down and come straight up without having to have any sort of transition, because I feel they're just a little bit immersion breaking.
Yeah,
I would love to be able to just not have that transition. It's probably something that won't ever change, but it still makes me a little bit sad. Number 2, flying from the top of a continent to the bottom. I will admit I miss flying. That is, I miss flying for a long distance. When it comes to flying, Final Fantasy is far superior when we are obtaining our flying. At least in the past WoW expansions, where we had to do whole annoying achievement quest line that would take you several patches. And
anyone in the comments, what is this mount?
Half the expansion's lifetime to be able to fly in the zones. I like that in Final Fantasy, we can earn the flying much faster at our own pace. We still have to work for it, but it feels more reasonable. But there are some things I miss about flying. I miss flying a long distance. There was just always something peaceful about taking a long flight across a continent.
Oh, because you have to
over multiple zones without a loading screen.
You have to phase through maps.
And my map on a long journey. From time to time, if I had to go somewhere, but I wasn't in a hurry, and I just wanted to kind of chill on the way, I would teleport to somewhere not necessarily too close, and then just fly. Not to mention, at times, I just didn't know where all of the portals were. So there are moments where I would fly across several zones simply because I didn't realize it was a way quicker way to go.
You can fly from the bottom of one continent to the top of the other.
I always like these moments of just watching the scenery below me change, going past snowy areas, mountainous areas, really dark volcanic areas, deep jungles and fields. It was peaceful. And
I think it's hard to say what's better because it's nice, and like if you look at all the people playing classic WoW now, half your time is spent just traveling because it's just so realistic. You just got to mount up and walk to every single place, and it's really fun. Then you got to get a boat, and then you got to get a zeppelin. Like, it's very, very, very slow. Whereas in retail and in Final Fantasy right now, you just click a button, teleport, go through a portal, and it's just instant fast. But it does break immersion, so I don't know. It's hard to say what's better nowadays.
In FF, every time I want to fly between zones, there's always a loading screen.
You don't even need to fly in Final Fantasy. You just teleport everywhere with a click of a button.
I love the diversity of the zones, and I know they can't be connected. I still feel it would be really nice if we could try to connect some of the zones. Even if I know all these things, I still miss these long flights.
I miss mounted up in cities.
It feels so big. In a way, FF doesn't quite manage in the same way. So it's something I miss, but something I'm also quite aware is probably never going to come to Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, I don't think that'll change.
But my last point could, hopefully. Number 1, the transmog closet. As I mentioned before, Final Fantasy XIV has some amazing glamour pieces.
I made a video about this. Yep.
Something that can work in many different settings, and others that can fit more of a unique scenario. But I would like to collect every single piece of clothing.
Yes.
So when the time comes, I want to dress my character up in something different than my usual style. Yep. I got the option. After all, sometimes when you get an armor piece that just doesn't look that great, it suddenly can become an integral piece of a perfect glamour, like way down the line.
Yep.
And then I curse myself for not having it anymore. And this is why I missed the WoW transmog closet.
So much. So much.
There it is. FF14, where you gotta take the pieces you want to keep forever and put them in your glamour dresser or on your retainer. You gotta store it somewhere.
So here's the reason. Like, this looks like fine, looks okay. Is this low quality? No, it's fine. This doesn't look that good, right? But one of the things that is really fun to do, and maybe it's a bit sad, but one thing that's really good to do is, let's say you're playing let's use a Final Fantasy reference. A Dragoon, right? You're playing a Dragoon, and you know that there are certain Dragoon lancers out in the world. These big Dragoon polearms, there's like maybe 100 different varieties of this weapon in the world. You don't have a way to track that in game in Final Fantasy. You've got to use a mod, or you've got to go on an external website and track what they are. And then if you collected 100 of them, you're just going to fill your glamour closet so fast. And so there's no point. There's no reason to collect them all. You're going to punish yourself collecting them. Whereas in WoW, you would go here, you would click weapons, and you would drop down to, Dragoon polearms, Dragoon lancers. And it would show, like, I don't know, 200 polearms, 200 lancers. And then you would just click them, and it would say, this is from a raid, this boss, this is from a dungeon, this is from a quest, this is a rare drop it from a mob. And you could go out and farm every single one. And you could set yourself a goal of over the next month, you want to try and farm every single weapon, every single polearm. And it's just nice. It's just nice. And then when you come to make a lamb, you've got every single one to choose from. It's just nice. Really, really, really fun system, I miss this. This is like my number one thing I miss, I think.
They would just be automatically put in your closet.
Yeah.
It's just a collection of every locked or unlocked clothing piece your character can wear.
It's so big.
It meant that not so interesting shoes I may have come across at level 30 are there for me to try when I get my epic endgame gear, and they are suddenly the perfect addition. There's no limitations to the closet.
You never have to worry about throwing stuff away.
Space. And it even showed me an overview of everything I got already that I could wear, and everything I didn't have yet.
Yeah.
It allowed me to play with an outfit, create my own look, and then figure out where the hell I was supposed to get the pieces for it.
Yeah.
It just gave so much freedom.
It's huge.
Not to mention, you could check the clothing closet anywhere, allowing me to play around with the outfits wherever and whenever I wanted. And to check the closet, you didn't require the mount to do it. It was just a menu you had. You opened it up. Not any different from how we can look at our minions in game.
I'm really surprised we don't have like a compendium of items in
it was
Final
excellent
Fantasy.
when I was waiting for queues or waiting for a rare to spawn or just doing something that required me to wait for a bit.
Yeah.
I would often play with my closet.
I think they would just
see if I could get any new outfits.
It'd be huge if they did this. It would have so much content.
That I really liked. And I wish Final Fantasy would have this, because while the clothing are far superior, I just wish they would borrow this one thing from WoW.
Yeah, agreed.
So I would have more freedom with my glamour and be able to look at all the fancy outfits without having to hunt down random people and inspect them all the time. Because I am the creepy person who kind of stands there and stares at you because I am trying on your clothes. And that just feels off sometimes.
Very creepy, yep.
So I would really love to be able to just see the items in my own glamour closet of sorts.
Yeah.
Not to mention that we could get rid of the glamour closet
with
the limitation.
Burn it down.
It's just always so annoying. maybe one day.
Maybe
they keep
one
on
day.
adding more slots to the glamour closet, which I don't think is the solution to that thing. I think they need to find a better system, and I highly recommend that we look at what World of Warcraft did and we steal it.
Agreed.
Because
Big agree.
that is what good games do. That is what made WoW great many times. They looked at other games and went, oh, that's clever. I'm going to borrow this.
Yep.
And I think Final Fantasy should do the same. And these are the things I miss from WoW. It's definitely not a lot of things, and surprisingly, it's not the things that mattered the most to me when I played the game. I think with Final Fantasy really fulfilling my need for a good story, fun gameplay, great community, I don't miss a lot of things. But here are 5 things I really do miss.
That's a good video.
I hope maybe some of them end up in Final Fantasy one day. Now, thank you so much for watching. Tell me.
I would say if I could take 2 things from WoW, not only would it make Final Fantasy an infinitely better game, I think it would help retain people. One would be the glamour system. I don't think Final Fantasy players who've only played Final Fantasy realize how much content they're missing out on by not having the glamour system. Because when WoW players complain about it, you think, well, the box is fine, the glamour box is fine, but you're missing out on all the content that you can grind. Because like if there's like an event that you're doing, like a glamour event, and you go, oh, I'm going to grind this dungeon for this thing. In WoW, that you never have to wait for the event to grind it, because you're always working on filling out your collections of different items. Like the new dungeon released in Endwalker just now and has really good glamour in it. But if you were to collect every single piece for every single class, you're going to fill like half your glamour dresser. So yeah, I think that's going to be, it would be huge if they took that, but you know, people say it's not possible. Spaghetti code. I don't know. The only other thing I would take is Mythic Plus dungeons. I think Endgame really needs another form of progression. And I think Mythic Plus style dungeons are going to would be the best idea. I think they're perfect in WoW almost. I think that's a really good video. Some big things and some small things, but very interesting video. Let me know in the comments, like they said, what you think. What do you think are the really big things you miss? Maybe from a different MMO. I'm playing Guild Wars a lot at the moment as well, and they've got some things like the dye system, dyeing your clothes with a click of a button and just always having the dyes available once you've got them once. That's a really good system. So yeah, let me know what you think. Yeah, really good video. Take care. I'll link it down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.